Okay, this is amazing. I just wanted to show you this alyssum. This is November. We're in mid-November, and it's still got all these beautiful white blooms on it. So our bees, if you can see, there's bees all over. So next year, I'm definitely going to be planting some more of this, and it's beautiful. I'm going to pull these zinnia flower heads off because they were amazing. The zinnias actually made me fall in love with flowers this year. I'm going to go in and cut the heads off. Oh my, that's a little green and underneath of there, but I'm going to cut a whole bunch of flower heads off. I'm going to throw them in this bag, let them completely finish drying, and then in a month from now or a couple weeks from now, I'm going to break them apart just like I did this one. I'm going to break them apart, and there's a lot of little seeds mixed in with the petals here, and we're going to scatter them all over in our brushy areas and some areas that get pretty good amount of sunlight. And I just like to have some zinnias peeking through everywhere. I'm going to cut some more off. Now we had all kinds of colors. We had red, pink, and I'll try to put a screenshot of some of the packets that we used, because there's a bunch of different styles of flower bud and colors that we have going on here. And so that I don't have to buy as many seeds next year, I'm just gonna get our free seeds here. So I like to have vases of flowers in the house as long as we possibly can. And these zinnias, they put off flowers all summer into fall until we started getting some pretty heavy frosts. Our zinnias were like the highlight of the street when it came to flowers. We had a real cottage garden feel to the front of our house. Neighbors would comment. I thought that was really cool. But down in here, I have some beautiful echinacea. I'm gonna get a separate bag and clip and save those. Now, those are a perennial. So yes, they will come back from the root that's in the ground here, but I want even more. So I'm gonna save the seeds from that because it's my favorite color, yellow. It was like a pale, pretty, happy yellow. Zinnias get a lot of fungal diseases. I've actually did really well with these up until the very end of the year. So I was able to keep the same crop that I planted in spring going all year. I might do some successions next year so I can have fresh zinnias popping up, and we can cut down the older ones if they get a lot of disease issues. So we're not putting this in our compost. Most of our annuals, I'm going to leave them. They're not necessarily pretty, and I could cut them out so that I'm ready for next year in the spring, but I'm going to leave them because they're creating seed for birds. Critters can use it for bedding, nesting. You know, some of these, like the alyssum, there's still bees on them. So we're going to leave them, and they leave a little bit of structure. Maybe if we get some snow this year, the snow will settle on them really pretty. Some of our, like our hydrangeas down there, those flowers, I could cut them off, but I'm going to leave them. They look kind of pretty even though they're all dried up. I'm leaving the roots in, so I'm cutting right down at the soil level. Those roots are going to break down, and just like in our vegetable garden, they're going to feed our soil. Okay, so I'm going from cutting down the zinnias, which are, they get a lot of fungal diseases on them, and I'm going to cutting my glades. My glades are perennialized, so they're going to come back next year. I don't want to transfer any diseases, so I always clean my clippers. So I'm cleaning them really good. I've let, even though I cut my flower buds off way earlier in the year after they were done, I left the green stalk to photosynthesize and create a whole lot of energy for the bulb so that next year I'll even have a better show. So I'm just going to come down and I'm going to clip down here right at my soil level. And that bulb's going to stay in there. And I'm going to put more mulch type of product around some of these. But basically, there we go. And I marked it so I don't forget. I have a whole lot of bulbs that were in the ground, spring bulbs, and I forgot where they were. And I accidentally dug a bunch of them up. So we've got digitalis that I had started indoors um, early spring and then transferred them out. I have 4 of them. So they're the foxglove and they're a biennial. Next year, they're going to get their blooms. So this whole year, they spent growing these beautiful leaves and collecting all this energy. And then next year, we're going to have the payoff. We're going to have really tall foxglove flowers. It's going to be amazing. So we have that way back here near our porch because they're going to get super tall. We have our limelight hydrangea here. That's new. That just went in a couple months ago. And even though these are all dried up, look how pretty they still look. To me, that's pretty. I feel like I could almost take that in and make a dried flower arrangement out of it. But I'm not. I'm going to leave it out here. You know, if little critters want to use it for bedding or protection, little bugs want to hide in there. I'm leaving my coleus flowers in. They bloomed early and they bloomed like all summer long. And the bees love these little red winterberry goblins. So because they didn't get pollinated at the nursery, because they didn't sell any of the winterberry boys, we only have 1 berry, yeah. So what is weird, what I find at Home Depots and Lowe's and a lot of these nurseries is they'll sell the female, which will get berries, but they don't sell the matching male that pollinates at the same time. Okay, some daffodils, tulips, berry mix. Look at that color. Tulips, emperor mix. I love that yellow. This is going to be beautiful. Tulip, royal prince. It's got a little mix of the different yellows and pinks and purples, and some anemones.
Anything yellow, my wife likes.
Yeah, I love yellow. We have some daffodils and tulips that were already here on the property. They had naturalized. So it was a really nice, we bought this house in August last year. And then when spring came, to see some of the bulbs already blooming that we didn't know were going to be there was really delightful. Then I accidentally dug some of them up when I was planting other flowers. So I'm going to try to remember or mark where I put these so I don't do that again next year. All right, so I forgot about some bulbs I had bought in the beginning of, the end of summer when they first started selling them. I got super excited to buy spring bulbs. I bought a big bag of them. So between the bulbs I showed you earlier and the bulbs I pulled out, we probably have 105. And I got about 8 spots I want to put them. So we're going to try to manage them in. These spots, I want to have a nice big concentration on my corners when you first walk up. And what I want to do is put these anemones. Most of these bulbs have your information on the back, how far apart to put them, how big the actual bulb is, how tall it's going to get, the depth to plant it, when it blooms. This is a late spring. The zones it works in, 6 through 10, we're a 7A here. And light requirements, full sun to part shade. Most of our spring bulbs are going to want full sun. So these little guys are only going to get 6 to 12 inches tall, and they only get buried 2 to 3 inches deep. So the top of the bulb, 2 to 3 inches deep. We don't have to go down very far for these little guys. And can you see how tiny those bulbs are? They're just little corms. So we're going to do some of those in the front here, just a couple here and a couple in the other corner. And then I got these narcissus, which actually these have to be buried quite a bit deeper, 6 inches deep on these. And they will get, and this company put them on the front. The height is 14 to 16 inches tall, and they're fragrant. That's going to be freaking awesome. These two mid-spring. So we have a late spring, a mid-spring. So I really like this peachy color. I'm really into the peaches and corals, and I love yellow too. And I think to give it a nice little pop, they're falling out. I got these Darwin hybrid tulips, and these will naturalize really well in our area. And I think they'll look really cute if I cut some and put them in a vase. So that'll go to 18 to 20 inches tall. And I know that these ones get buried at about 5 inches deep. And these tulips, the information's on the back of these ones. they're going to get 14 to 18, so pretty close to the tulip, the pink ones. And I'm going to put these 3 to 4 inches deep. So I'm going to try to get them the depth they're supposed to be, but it's not a big deal. Full sun, part shade. Okay, so these little guys, they're a lot lower to the ground. They do bloom a little bit later than the others. I don't have to go so deep on them. So I just kind of loosen the soil. I'm going to do 3 spots, and another shout out to Makita. A lot of people use an auger bit to put their bulbs in. We don't have an auger bit, and I'm all about trying to save a couple bucks here and there. But we do have a 1.5 inch drill bit, paddle bit. So we're going to use this. These, like I said, 2 to 3 inches, not a big deal. And look at that hole that it did. Ha! Who needs an auger bit when you got a paddle bit? It didn't look like 21 corms to me, but we're going to get them all out of here now. Look at that water out. All right. So it says we're going to plant them with the pointy side facing up. You can kind of see where the roots would be right there. All right. So we're going to go through, plop them in. We don't want to be too deep. We only want 2 inches. And I got my shovel actually has markings on it. My handy dandy shovel. And this was pretty cheap. So if you look where 2 inches is, so the top of the soil is going to be here. We want to make sure that we're like that. So the top of it's going to be at 2 inches. We're right there. Okay, now we're going to push that soil back over them. And voila, one done. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I went height-wise because there's going to most likely be some kind of overlapping, at least with the foliage and the bloom times, even though early, mid, and late spring, we're going to have some overlap. So I want the taller ones towards the back, just so that everything kind of flows upwards in the landscape when you're looking back at it. So we have our little ones up front here, and then we're going to come back, and this one actually says put 6 in a square foot area. So these could be pretty close. In reality, you could put all these very close. When people plant for cut flowers, they literally put them within a 1/2 inch of each other in a planting area. So spacing is kind of what you prefer, what the look you want out of it. So we've got the 4 narcissus. We've got the 4 little corms in here. And then we're just going to come back and start arching our way back like this. So we're going to go here. And most of these, except for the narcissus, are 3 or 4 inches deep. Those are 6. And I'm going to do an arch. Whoop. But hitting some roots right there. I'm going to do 4 bulbs through here. Super soft lamb's ear right here. We're gonna run into if we do the same pattern, so we might need to do it a little bit different. Okay, well, we got our corners done. We've got all the anemones in. I think that rain's gonna pass over.
Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing what's left of our flower garden in November. Keep watching our channel to see how we continue to develop this property and add more gardens. Thank you for watching Garden and Grease.